The analysis of Draft Independent Counsel for News Media Standards Act released. Tallest building in Sri Lanka or the biggest fraud? GMOA postpones scheduled strike action by a week. Who is responsible for the destruction caused by Uma-Oya project? New appointments for the Presidential Secretary, Defence Secretary, Army Commander and the Governor of the Eastern Province.
It's the 4th of July 2017 and this is your Primetime News Bulletin. A very good evening, I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Nicola De Souza. We start off with our top story.
12 districts facing severe drought. 800,000 people affected. 14,000 tanks of the Department of Agrarian Development dried up. Hundreds and thousands of cultivated farmland destroyed. Drinking water projects halted midway. People forced to walk for miles in search of water.
With many still recovering from the trail of destruction left behind by the recent devastating floods and landslides, hundreds and thousands of people from 12 districts in the island are now being battered by severe drought.
One of the main contributing factors for the lack of rainfall is the damage caused to the environment.
The Uma-Oya issue has currently become a main talking point due to the harm caused to the central mountainous region, which is a key catchment area.
Could this issue have not been identified beforehand?
Newsfirst initially reported on the adverse effects of the Uma-Oya multipurpose development project when the first leak occurred in 2015.
Because of the immense erosion of sand from catchment areas, these two small reservoirs will fill up rapidly and get destroyed. The other serious case is that the area where the Dharnaba Dam of Uma-Oya is being constructed has been declared as a high-risk zone for landslides. The tunnel which is being dug will eventually lead to the Bandaravilla town. This will cause the springs and all the other water resources to dry up. Are they waiting till this project gobbles up the whole of Bandaravilla? This is a massive tragedy.
Couldn't the environmental feasibility reports prepared before the commencement of this project foresee this destruction?
This environmental impact assessment report is an environmental report which received the largest amount of public views in the history of Sri Lanka for a development project. Despite all of this, the Central Environmental Authority gave the green light for this project to go ahead, disregarding all views in violation of the provisions of the National Environmental Act. This is a key factor for all this destruction to take place.
Executive Director of the Campaign for Free and Fair Elections, Kirti Thennakon, says the environmental impact assessment report for this project was prepared by a team headed by the Dean of the Faculty of Graduate Studies of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Suna Pereira, and the Head of the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Peradeniya, Professor KDW Nandalal.
According to the information we have gathered, the teams which compiled the environmental impact assessment report for this project have not presented sufficient facts on the detrimental effect this project would have on the environment. Either this team of 19 who call themselves specialists did not have the speciality to foresee the environment destruction through this project, or the committee of 6 zoologists have functioned disregarding these factors, or in the worst case scenario, the committee concealed these factors and compiled a fake environmental impact assessment report in return for financial or other benefits.
Environmentalists and locals in the area voiced their objection to the initial phase of this project when it was launched 5 years ago due to the environmental harm it brings along with it. Work on the project went ahead, giving no regard to the environmental impact on the basis that short-term issues could crop up for a long-term program. This has resulted in a massive leak in the tunnel which is being constructed under the Uma-Oya project. This was the response given by the Dean of the Faculty of Graduate Studies of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Suna Pereira, who headed the team which compiled the project's environmental impact assessment reports.
Were you involved in compiling an environmental impact assessment report for the Uma-Oya multipurpose development project?
Yes, I was, as an ecologist.
Right. What were the proposals your team brought for this project?
I cannot speak of these matters now. I am at a meeting.
Our attempts to contact the professor again were unsuccessful.
The death toll as a result of the dengue epidemic has risen to 225, while the reported number of dengue cases has topped 76,000.
On the 1st of July, Chaitanya Bekon, an undergraduate at the University of Moratuwa, succumbed to dengue. Her funeral took place yesterday. Timira Isranga, a grade 11 student at the Badulla Central College, died as a result of dengue on the 3rd at the Badulla General Hospital. Another victim from dengue was Shashi Kumar Kavish, a grade 10 student at the Badulla Saraswati Mahavidyalaya. The funerals of both school students will take place tomorrow, while 61 people continue to be treated for dengue at the Badulla General Hospital. Many hospitals across the country, including those in Colombo, are battling against time to treat the overwhelming number of dengue patients. 606 patients have been treated for dengue at the Negombo General Hospital and 507 at the IDH Hospital. However, the IDH Hospital can only accommodate 200 patients at any given time. The number of dengue patients at the Kandy General Hospital has risen to 300. Most government hospitals are currently facing a difficult situation due to the lack of facilities and medical staff.
The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, made a request from the Government Medical Officers Association.
We have a request to make from everyone. Since dengue is spreading when garbage is dumped haphazardly, we request everybody to dump garbage responsibly. I make a request from the Government Medical Officers Association and all others involved. Do not carry out the strike action tomorrow. Postpone it. Do this sacrifice for the people who are suffering from dengue. Provide assistance to the patients. Provide your fullest cooperation.
The GMOA has decided to postpone tomorrow's strike action of the government doctors by a week.
Special attention was drawn towards the response and the request that we received at the Executive Committee meeting of the GMOA this morning. We discussed the matter in depth for several hours. We looked into what the solutions are and what the requests are. We know whatever safety mechanism we take, the strike action will cause hardships to the patients. We have resorted to this if we have no chance. That has been the case in the past. At this point, we, the GMOA, decided to postpone the island-wide strike action that was planned for tomorrow by a week. The message we hope to give through this is that this struggle has arrived at a very positive last stage at present.
News First engaged in a discussion with Minister S.B. Dissanayake today, who earlier served as the Minister of Higher Education when SITEM was first established.
Minister, were you the individual responsible for the SITEM issue?
This issue was created by the GMOA and the Medical Council. The office bearers of the GMOA are not democratically elected, they are elected using false ballots. SITEM comes under the Ministry of Higher Education. The UGC sits in during the selection of students. If there isn't a two-third majority, the students are not selected. However, there is no such process for the Kothalawala Medical Faculty.
Then why have one standard for Kothalawala and another for SITEM? What is SITEM's weakness?
There is a certain truth in what the doctors say. Everyone spoke of the weaknesses in clinical training. Thereafter, the Western Province Ministry of Health gave permission to engage in clinical training at the Homagama and Avisawala hospitals. The GMOA did not allow this to take place. The Medical Council has the right to cancel the license of any doctor, and they did not act. The issue of the lack of clinical training is because Carlo Fonseca and the Medical Council and Pardenia and the GMOA.
You are a good trade unionist. The GMOA is a trade union. Why are you letting a trade union dictate national policies?
I believe that the government should not bow down to the decisions of the GMOA. The students are in a different place. They say there should be no private education. There are things that Karl Marx or Lenin would have said. There were positions for assistant doctors. There are some even today. There are doctors who have travelled to the St. Petersburg University in Russia, which is accepted by the WHO, and these MBBS doctors were not allowed to register as doctors by the GMOA. Those doctors went to court, and during this case, Pardenia and his group got pally with Sarat Silva, and till this day they cannot register.
As a citizen, I feel that you, as the Minister of Higher Education, are shirking your responsibility. This is a problem that comes under your purview. There was a cabinet session today as well. Was this discussed?
We spoke about it at length. In the past, when doctors engaged in strikes, we have examples of how J.R. Jayawardena and even George Rajapaksa handled such affairs. We need to use all these examples and implement the law and take a firm decision which is fair on Saitam, the students and the entire country. The Mahanagar of the three sects convened at the Askari temple this evening.
The Mahanayakars had extensively discussed matters relating to the current situation of the country and the formulation of a new constitution. A decision has been reached to hand over a letter to the President which details the stance of the Mahanayakars. We are of the view that there is no need to create a new constitution which gives rise to new problems. The Mahanayakars and the Mahasangha conclude that the existing constitution should be allowed to remain unchanged. However, a unanimous agreement was reached to create a change in the electoral process.
And with that, we go in for a short commercial break. Stay with News First.
Welcome back to the news. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa commented on the reports being spread citing government intervention with regard to the revenue of certain temples.
Recently, it was reported in the media that the government has intervened in the administration of temples. The Buddhist Temporalities Ordinance No. 5 of 1931 comes into effect in relation to all temples across the island. Thereby, the government will not intervene in affairs of temples. Then we come to the matter of sealing the 37 donation boxes at the Kanda Viharya. The revenue of temples is overlooked by the Commissioner General of Buddhist Affairs. So, he is enforcing his duties. There are 258 temples across the country. Therefore, as per Article 4, subsection 1, important places like the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, Adams Peak, the Ruhunu Kataragama Mahadevalaya, the Ratnapura Saman Devalaya, the Sri Vishnu Devalaya in Dondrahead come under the Commissioner General on Buddhist Affairs. He has a responsibility to look into the revenue. There is no politics involved in this.
According to what you said, that affects 258 temples across the country. Please explain to the House whether this came into effect to all temples during one period or during different periods.
At times, Article 4, subsection 1 was not followed, and at times it was followed.
The country is waiting for the local government polls. Therefore, if the minister agrees, let's amend the local government ordinance this week. We have no objection to that. Let's pass that and call for elections. Do not delay it.
Honourable Speaker, MP Dinesh Gunawardena did not present this during the party leaders' meeting. The MP has not presented it.
The leader of the House does not understand what I am saying. The minister says the act was sent for Supreme Court interpretation and the court gave a ruling. The minister must thereafter decide to take it up in Parliament. If this can be raised at the party leaders' meeting this week, we are prepared for that. If you can take it up on Friday.
We cannot form an agenda here. Let's discuss this at the party leaders' meeting.
So we will discuss.
Singer Suna Pereira has responded to reports which claim that he was hospitalized following an assault that had reportedly taken place after a performance.
හොඳ සෙල්ලම් එළිවෙන ජාමෙට කිව්වලු. එළිවෙන ජාමෙට තමයි මම සෙනසුරාදා පොඩි
The past pupils of St. Anthony's College organized a party in Jayala. It was a successful event. By the time I woke up the next day, the internet says that I was assaulted and that I was being treated in the ICU of the Navaloka hospital. Such rumors are created by insane people. Therefore, they are the ones who need to be hospitalized and not us. That person needs to seek medication because it is a disease. Certain people cannot bear it when another becomes successful. They get an urge to do something bad. They need to be given a beating. This is all because of jealousy.
ඕකට කියන්නේ අධිබල ඊරිසියාව. ඕවට බෙහෙත් නෑනේ දොස්තර ගාව. හැකියික්මනින් ඇවිත් හමුවන්නකො මාව. සුව කරනවා ඇත්තයි වචන දෙකක් නෑ මං ගාව. එවැනි ලෙඩ තියෙනවනේ.
The doctors do not have medicine for that. They can come and meet me because I have the perfect treatment for that.
මං සුව කරලා දෙන්නම්.
Another primary dealer that suffered losses due to the controversial bond auction in 2015 testified before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today. Newsfirst's Zulfik Farzan reports.
Nimal Meegolla, the Assistant General Manager and former Chief Dealer at NatWealth Securities, testified that his organization suffered a loss following the auction on the 27th of February 2015. He said as interest rates increased, the value of the securities portfolio of NatWealth Securities Limited dropped rapidly and resulted in the losses. He noted that NatWealth Securities Limited did not want to buy a 30-year bond, but had to bid because of the mandatory 10% regulation imposed by the central bank. Nimal Meegolla said NatWealth Securities Limited placed a dummy bid at the auction and did not have an investor lined up to sell the bonds to. Following the auction, all primary dealers, shocked at the outcome, held a meeting on the 2nd of March 2015 at Capital Alliance Limited. The CEO of Perpetual Treasuries, Kasan Palisena, and the chief dealer, who were among those present, were very quiet. The Primary Dealers Association were given a meeting with the governor on the 23rd of March 2015 to discuss the matter, and it was later announced that then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake would preside over this meeting. The acting Attorney General went toe-to-toe once again with Mahendran's lawyer today at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. This was when the acting AG was making an explanation on these minutes that he presented. At this moment, the attorney for Arjuna Mahendran made a remark saying that he did not know that the AG's department takes instructions from a primary dealer. This prompted the acting AG Dapula de Libera to respond back by saying that he does not take instructions from any primary dealer and he is not bound to tell the council who he takes instructions from. Thereafter, the evidence of the witness on these minutes was challenged by Arjuna Mahendran's lawyer, and they're saying that this was hearsay evidence. However, the AG's department pointed out that this evidence must be heard, and the Commission agreed to what the AG's department submitted. The Commission instructed the Attorney General's department to produce a certified copy of these minutes. Nimal Meegolla was also the former chief dealer at BOC. He testified that BOC had never bid on behalf of another primary dealer during his time. Responding to a question posed by Romali Thudabe, who represented PTL, the witness said in 2015 and 2016 the Mahapola Higher Education Scholarship Trust Fund, which owns NatWealth Securities Limited, had injected funds to the company. He noted that this was not because NatWealth Securities Limited suffered losses during that period. Indika Mendes, the former head of treasuries at Capital Alliance Limited, testified this morning that the bonds that they purchased from the controversial auction were sold off to Ceylon planters for a reasonable profit of 6 million rupees. The witness said they did not have an investor lined up, but managed to find a buyer during the course of that day.
There have been a number of attempts to subdue the media that came in the recent past in various forms. One of the main promises given by the new government that came into power through the 8th January revolution was that media freedom would be ensured. However, as we speak, there are efforts to undermine this promise.
A document titled The Independent Counsel for News Media Standards is currently in circulation. Consultations and discussions regarding the draft of this document are already underway under Toby Daniel Mendel, a British and Canadian national, and Dr. Pradeep N. Veerasinghe. The draft has been prepared by Vijayananda Jayavira, who is presently working as the World Bank consultant to the government of Sri Lanka. The document, which claims to safeguard media freedom and has been dubbed a first discussion draft, contains a number of eyebrow-raising points. According to the document, the Independent Counsel for News Media Standards will be headed by a retired judge or a lawyer. In addition, the council is to be vested with powers to hold inquiries into violations of the codes of practices adopted by the council and issue decisions in case of complaints. The council will not be subject to liability, civil or criminals, in a backdrop where even the executive president of this country has proposed the removal of the immunity before the law. All news outlets need to be registered with the council, with a spokesperson and an editor-in-chief being named during the registration. Such news media outlets are also expected to make a payment to the Council. The bill also grants the Council powers to call for any information held by a news media outlet and also calls on any journalist to produce any information in their possession. Any news media outlet that refuses to comply with the Council could face a fine of up to 1 million rupees. In addition, any journalist who intentionally provides false information or fails to appear before the Council when required could face a fine of up to 100,000 rupees and a 3-month imprisonment following a trial. Toby Daniel Mendel, who is involved in the creation of this document, is an individual who works closely with international NGO, International Media Support or IMS, which previously employed current Director General of Government Information, Dr. Ranga Kalansurya, as a consultant. Toby Mendel currently serves as the Executive Director of the Centre for Law and Democracy, which aims to promote, protect and develop human rights. Ranga Kalansurya and Toby Mendel have worked closely on numerous occasions.
In Sri Lanka also, we all accept that media need ethics and ethical practices. But what is happening now is that there's a process which is secret, is being launched by the Department of Information in collaboration with some small group of intellectuals and NGO to establish a media regulation body in Sri Lanka. We don't know who is behind this. This is a government initiative or a private initiative. Now recently a gentleman, actually Media Freedom Fighter International called Toby Mendel came to Sri Lanka to discuss this. Before such a discussion takes place, we would like Sri Lankan government, if it's a government agenda, to discuss with the media. Or it's a private agenda, then they should say that it's a completely private agenda. On the other hand, this process is supported by an organization called International Media Support in Denmark. This is an organization that Mr. Dr. Ranga Kalansurya worked, and it seems as someone else's agenda, someone else's need is being pushed through the government information department. We as journalists and we as media organizations should ask government to come clean and tell us who is behind this. This is the government initiative. Then government should discuss with all the stakeholders. There has been no proper discussion with the stakeholders, media stakeholders, on this Self-Regulation Act. It's a private initiative, they say that, and small discussions are held around the country by a small group of people. But the mainstream media has completely left out. Have an open discussion with all the stakeholders. Otherwise, it will be imposed. This will be state-imposed regulation on media, and we know that any country in the world, if state is going to be involved in regulation of media, at the end of the day, it will be a censorship.
We don't know who the real author of this document is. The government has not yet announced that such a bill has been prepared, and as individuals who represent journalist unions, we have not been called in for consultations. Why was this document created? Whose need is being fulfilled through this? We can see that the government is behind this bill because sometimes we are called to cover events regarding this through the media ministry. What we can see is that the NGO that calls itself the Media Reform Secretariat is taking this document around the country discussing it. How can legislation which affects the entire country be a project spearheaded by an NGO?
There were a number of efforts by the Mahindra Rajapaksa administration to suppress the media. There were proposals brought forward to establish an independent media regulatory commission, while numerous journalists, including Lasantha Wickramatunge, were gunned down. Journalists such as Poddala Jayantha, Keith Noyer and Sanat Balasuriya were assaulted during the same time period, while the Depanama studio complex was destroyed using Claymore bombs. The administration of Mahindra Rajapaksa fell from grace and ceded power. The administration that took over on the 8th of January 2015 promised to bring about numerous reforms. However, they too attempted to engage in the suppression of the media. Media suppression that was to be legalized through the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was halted due to a case filed by us. Is the present administration attempting to take another crack at suppressing the media through the so-called Independent Council, which is being created in consultation with a foreign national?
The right not to disclose sources is the heading, but material in section clause 8 provides a basis for which that source can be tapped and source has to be revealed. It says only news given on a confidential basis to a news media has that qualification of not having to give the information. Otherwise, all other information can be disclosed either if it has the confidentiality tag, or if a High Court allows it, then it has to be revealed, and High Court can do it in very suspicious circumstances. Another very disturbing factor is the words used in this section has no legal meaning. For example, words like constitutional order. A constitutional order is not a word that has any definition even in the Act. Then there's alternative means of obtaining information needed. Now those words have not been defined or set out in details. I would recommend the entire media should stand up to a man and say, we will never reveal confidential source, whether it's confidential or otherwise, because that is the end of freedom of expression.
The Daily Mirror reported on the 1st of July that the BOI signed a memorandum of understanding worth $2 billion for a project called the World Capital Center, or WCC. The company that is involved in this major investment is UAE-based Al Aman Group. The project is the construction of a 625-meter residential building with 117 floors, hotels and a shopping complex comprising parking facilities as well.
The MOU for the project was signed by the chairman of the Board of Investment, Upul Jayasuriya, and officials of the WCC company. Upon successful completion, this will be the third tallest building in Asia and the ninth tallest building in the world. However, several eyebrow-raising factors have come to light after going through details pertaining to this particular investor. The address listed in the Al Aman Group website is a local address. The company is located in Gold Road, Colombo 4, with a branch in Ajman, UAE. The telephone numbers listed in the project website and the company website are both the same. Newsfirst spoke to a director of the Al Aman Group, Dr. Senaka Silva, who says the project is only $1.2 billion. Despite the fact that a large sum of money is involved in this project, a location has not yet been decided for the construction. Dr. Senaka Silva said it will be constructed in Valikada, while the BOI says it will be constructed in Fort. When looking further into the details pertaining to the company that is carrying out the investment, a considerable number of people on its board are of Sri Lankan origin. Are there local investors involved in this investment as well?
There are around 12 international companies that are investing here. This is a consortium of companies.
What is the connection the Al Aman Group has with this project?
Previously, the company had a major involvement in this project. The project failed. This concept was valuable, so a different consortium has got together to get this done.
Is there no connection to the Al Aman Group at present?
There certainly is. They made the project proposals and other documents, but they are not 100% connected.
Can you confirm that Asaid Ahmad is the chairman of this group?
I cannot confirm that 100%. The shareholders or the chairman can change at any time according to the business.
My question is the head of this consortium Asaid Ahmad?
There are around 12 directors in the board. You can check the details at the company's house. If you take a look at the profile of this company, the majority are Sri Lankan. They should sign an MOU after deciding the place of the project. They have not done that. The money has not come. But they are saying that this is the tallest building and that this is a 2 billion rupee project. When Malik is on one side and Upul is on the other side, will investors come into the country? This is yet another Volkswagen story. That is all.
Appointment letters for 3 top positions of the state were handed over by President Maithripala Sirisena today.
Accordingly, Austin Fernando, Senior Administrative Officer, was appointed as the Secretary to the President. Kapila Vaidyaratne was sworn in as the new Defence Secretary, Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake was sworn in as the new Commander of the Army, and former Foreign Minister Rohit Bogalagama was sworn in as the Governor of the Eastern Province. Austin Fernando, who came into the position following the resignation of former Secretary to the President P.B. Abekun, previously served as the Governor of the Eastern Province and as an advisor to the President. An old boy of Richmond College, Gaul, Austin Fernando graduated from the Peravini University and obtained a postgraduate degree from the University of Sri Javadanipura in Public Administration. He went on to serve as a government agent for the districts of Polonnaru and Norelia before being appointed as the Commissioner of Cooperative Development. Throughout his illustrious career, Austin Fernando has served as Secretary to a number of ministries including the Ministry of Rehabilitation, Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs and Provincial Councils. He has also served as a Secretary of Defence. Kapila Vaidyaratne, who replaced former Secretary of Defence Karunasena Hettiarachchi, earlier served in the capacity of Additional Solicitor General. An old boy of St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, Vaidyaratne is also a graduate of the University of Colombo and the Sri Lanka Law College. He was awarded a master's degree in international relations from the University of Colombo and is a solicitor in the United Kingdom as well. Vaidyaratne was appointed as the President's Counsel in 2014. He served in Fiji as a judge of the Court of Appeal and also served in a trial attorney at the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia. President Maithripala Sirisena, in his capacity as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, appointed Major General Mahesh Senanayake as the 22nd Commander of the Army. Lieutenant General Senanayake enlisted in the Army in 1981 as an officer cadet and held many key appointments during his career, including his previous appointment as the Chief of Staff of Army. Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake is a product of Ananda College, Colombo. Former Foreign Minister Rohita Bogalagama was appointed as the new Governor of the Eastern Province. Bogalagama is a lawyer by profession.
Here are some of the views expressed at the United National Party's media briefing held today.
Be it Saitam, Umaoya or the garbage issue, whenever there are reports, there is one person who jokes about them. It is Mahanagar Declaration who cracks these jokes. He says the garbage mountain is not his. Umaoya is not his. Saitam is not his. However, the expressways are his. The war, only he did it. This is a joke. I came across several old articles which detail scholarships being presented to 10 Saitam students who passed their A-level exam by Mahanagar Declaration at the Presidential Secretariat. My personal opinion is, it is the government's fault for allowing the former president to make such comments while the whole country listens, because we have to bear the brunt of other people's faults. That applies to Saitam, Umaoya and the Meetotamulla garbage dump.
Stay tuned to TV1. Coming up after the news is Biz First in Focus, where Shaheen Jurangpati speaks to the President of the National Chamber of Exporters, Ramal Jasinghe, on the export sector in Sri Lanka.
And with that, we wrap up your primetime news for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.